Good morning, everyone. Welcome. We'll just give everyone a moment to enter the room and then we will get started for today. My name is Megan Matheson. I am the co-lead of the Canadian Marine Shipping Risk Forum and also the Director of Strategy Engagement for Clear Seas. I'd like you to note that the session will be recorded and posted on our website along with the presentation slides after the meeting. So anybody who's not able to attend today or for the full time will still be able to catch up afterwards. Before we get started today, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge with respect and gratitude that I'm joining from the traditional ancestral lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, and to acknowledge their stewardship of these lands and waters since time immemorial. For a few more brief introductions, the Canadian Marine Shipping Risk Forum is a community of practice that's hosted by MEOPAR, the Marine Environmental Observation Prediction and Response Network, and Clear Seas. This community of practice is open to all and any who are interested in the work of understanding and mitigating shipping risk. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join this webinar. This is a session in our Beyond the Horizon series that's focused on technology and its role in mitigating shipping risk. If you missed any of the previous sessions, and there have been now 10 previous sessions on this topic, I will put the link in the chat so you can go and check any of them out that might be of interest to you. So just a little bit more, the series is focused on investigating different ways that technology is being applied to understand the marine environment, with a particular focus on the activity and impacts of vessels, both those that are using automatic identification systems and those that aren't. And so as a result of this knowledge sharing, we hope that community of practice members can apply the range of technologies in new ways to address information needs for a safer marine environment. So just a little bit of housekeeping. I'll ask everyone to stay muted during the presentation. And if a question occurs to you that you'd like to ask, feel free to enter it into the chat and we can address it afterwards, after the presentation, or at the end of the presentation, you're welcome to raise your hand and then people can unmute to ask their questions of Alex directly. So either chat or asking directly is very welcome. You're welcome to remain on video or off, however is comfortable for you. And today we will be going through this presentation from Alex, a demonstration of the platform, and then have time for questions at the end. So without further ado, I will introduce our speaker today. I'm very pleased to welcome Alex Mitchell from OceanWise. He is an experienced professional with a strong background in marine environmental science. He is currently the manager of the Whale Report Alert System and a research scientist within the Whales Initiative at OceanWise. Alex focuses on research projects that address the effectiveness of the Whale Report Alert System. His prior experience includes roles as a senior data analyst and a data analyst at the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, and as an analyst at the Future Fit Foundation. Alex has also worked as a computational biologist at the Center for Ecology and Hydrology and as a research assistant at both UCL and the Natural History Museum, contributing to various evolutionary biology and biodiversity projects. So his additional experiences include management roles in hospitality and customer service environments. Alex has a master's degree in biodiversity, evolution, and conservation from UCL and a bachelor's degree in marine environmental science from the University of Portsmouth. So I will now hand over to Alex to go through his presentation with us.
I haven't heard myself introduced so fully before. That was an interesting experience for me, at least. But yeah, hello everybody. Thank you very much for joining today. My name is Alex Mitchell. I am the manager for the Whale Report Alert System at OceanWise. OceanWise is a conservation organisation based out of Vancouver, BC, focusing on the marine environment. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Whale Reports app, aims to prevent ocean roadkill from the palm of your hand. So a little bit of context setting first. Why are we here talking about this? So vessel traffic on our oceans has been increasing for decades. Between 1992 and 2012, there was a 300% increase in ship traffic. Since then, vessel activity, traffic, and also size continue to increase. And the graph on the screen, simple but pretty effective, shows the increase in world container port throughput. That's a 33% increase in the last 10 years. What we can infer from this is that there's more stuff moving through ports, which therefore means you can infer there's a higher coastal vessel traffic activity going on. Why is this an issue? I'm going to put this in the corner for us, just to remind us of what's going on. Higher vessel traffic means a higher chance of whale-vessel interactions. Generally on the coast, this means that vessels transit in critical habitat for whales. You can see the pink areas are humpbacks. The hashed areas are southern resident killer whales. Yeah, higher interaction, more likely to strikes will occur. It's not just strikes, it's also noise, which is an issue as well. So underwater noise is increasing, our oceans are getting louder with more vessel traffic. You can see it on the visual on the left-hand side from the WWF paper. High noise can impair hearing, it can mask communications, it can change behavior, cause stress. What we see in the news as well, negative headlines all over the shop when it relates to whales and vessels. But what I want to ask today is, what if there was a solution to this? What if there was another tool in the mariners' toolbox that they could use to reduce the risk of strike, continue industry thriving whilst living alongside whales? So that's the kind of issue. That's what's going on. What do mariners need? This is a nice picture of some killer whales with some industry in the background. So mariners have had materials available to them. An example is the Mariner's Guide to Whales, Dolphins and Porpoises of Western Canada. I'm using Canada as an example because I'm here, but this is the same anywhere in the world. In the Mediterranean, there's similar materials which provide occupancy maps of relative abundance of species at different times of the year. The aim of these tools is that mariners have a way to kind of pre-think transits. They can plan their routes, they can see where they might have to post extra watches, they can see where they might have to slow down or change course. But unfortunately for us, whales are pretty dynamic. Their behavior changes, they move around a lot, and mariners need a way to have real-time information available so they can make safe navigation choices. Luckily for us, everybody has a phone. So there's a way to get this information to people, and there's a way for people to submit information as well. So the solution that comes out of this is the Whale Report app and the Whale Report alert system. So what this application or platform does is it empowers community scientists to submit sightings. Community scientists can be anyone. It could be Gary walking his dog. It could be me driving over Lionsgate Bridge. Who knows? Community scientists can be anyone submitting sightings. It empowers them to do that, and it also allows mariners to receive targeted alerts of whale presence, which have been reported by these community scientists. So therefore, going back to the dog example, you're walking your dog in the beach, you have the power to potentially reduce the risk of strike and disturbance for whales in our waters just through your phone. That's a pretty powerful thing to have, if you ask me. It also empowers people to learn about regulations in that area. So you can see these polygons on the map. We'll talk about these in a little bit. Also learn how to reduce your impacts if you're a recreational mariner out on the water, and also how to identify whales. Everyone should have the opportunity and ability to learn about whales in the water, and that's what we're providing here. Some of you eagle-eyed people on the call, I see a lot of friends on the call as well, so hello, thank you for joining. This has been around for a little while. I'm talking about this like it's a brand new shiny thing. It kind of is, it kind of isn't. So the program's been around since 2016, the Whale Report alert system at least has been. And OceanWise used to manage two applications, the Whale Report app and the Whale Report alert system app. This created barriers for mariners because there was two apps they needed on their phones to receive information and report information. And the Whale Report app historically is a bit of a black box. You report into it and you don't really see any impact of your sighting. You kind of report into it and it's just there, and you're hoping that you made a positive change. So what we're doing is we're consolidating these two apps into one significantly updated application, which is why I'm kind of talking about it like it's brand new, because it kind of is brand new. So what does this mean? One app, reporting and alerting is all in one place for mariners. There's multiple data sources in here for mariners as well, from hydrophones to infrared cameras to other partner data providers that we're working with. There's flexible alert types for mariners as well, so they can receive email alerts, text messages, push notifications. They can set up flexible zones of interest to pinpoint a location on the coast or in the sea where they want to receive alerts from. I'll talk about that in a little bit. There's a marine mammal regulation layers, so people can understand the regulations in their areas. especially the difference between the US and Canada as well, because there are differences. They've been a bit more aligned now, but there's still a bit of a difference. The public can view sightings along the coast with a 24-hour delay. So this is hopefully encouraging people to be part of a community reporting sightings. They can see what's going on, but we're not encouraging an increased vessel traffic around these whales. We're giving people the option to view the data without, again, encouraging this increased traffic. And it's globally available. And that's one of the really cool things about this application now, is that we have the opportunity to take it anywhere in the world. So on your trip to Hawaii this summer, take the Whale Report app with you, report some whales. That would be really cool. So this is a pre-recorded video of me playing around with the application last night. So this is what the desktop application looks like. It looks exactly the same on your phone as well, but this is what the desktop app looks like. This is the public view. So all the data in here is delayed by 24 hours. Colored dots represent whale sightings. The kind of colored shapes represent marine mammal regulation zones. All of the marine mammal regulation zones are interactable. So we can hover over one, we can see what the regulation is, and we can click on it to give you a bit more information. So this is the ECHO voluntary slowdown zone. We can see in the notes that this is a voluntary large commercial vessel slowdown. So it's not really of interest to a recreational mariner, but it would be for a commercial mariner. More interest to a recreational mariner is the approach distance guidelines. You can read them, there's some notes there, and there's a button down at the bottom. I think I move there in a second, which says learn more. We click on that button, it takes us to the DFO website where we can learn a bit more about that regulation. So there's the cliff notes in the app, there's more detail on the website. We can filter all the data on here. So I'm going to turn the marine mammal regulations off. We can also filter by species, but also by the date. So I'm interested in Friday and Saturday sightings across the BC Washington State coast. And I can see all the information that, I would want to from my time period. Oh, wow, the quality is terrible. This is me submitting a sighting. This is a GIF that I made yesterday of reporting a sighting. The reason I made this into a GIF is I want to highlight kind of how quick it is to submit a sighting. So here I've selected a direction of travel. I pinpointed the location on the map. I've selected a species, a time. I've selected how confident I am in the sighting and how many that I saw, as well as where I was viewing the sighting from, whether it was land, whether it was on a vessel. That's all it takes. It's about 41 seconds, I think this is, to submit a sighting. And it will repeat again. It's very easy, very user-friendly, much improved from how we did it last time, in that you can do it with one hand, which is something key for mariners. You shouldn't drive and be on your phone, but there you go. You can report with one hand. So yeah, very quick and easy as well for mariners. And this is all the information that we need to produce informative information for mariners to alert them, as well as for policy, research, and other occupancy studies that we might conduct with the data as well. So we're building up a database and we're informing mariners of where whales are. So this is the public kind of side of things, but how does the Mariner Whale Report Alert System side of things work? So there's 4 ways that whales are currently detected. Citizen science reports, you just saw that in the example there. Infrared cameras, these are generally produced by a company called Whale Spotter and installed in various places along the coast, including BC Ferries Terminal on Main Island. There's a selection of hydrophones. JASCO Applied Sciences operates the underwater listening station, which was installed and funded by Transport Canada and Vancouver Fraser Port Authority. That's in just off East Point onto Turner Island. And there's also another one in Lime Kiln. Again, underwater microphones detecting and automating the detection of whales through clicks, whistles, other vocalizations that they make. And then also the last thing is these partner data providers as well. So other organizations that we work with to report either data through the Whale Report app or to integrate the data from their own networks, such as Orca Network or Whale Alert. Large commercial vessels within 10 nautical miles of an animal, of a real-time detection, are alerted through the desktop app, through the mobile application, through operations centers who might be using the desktop app to radio into their fleets. And then also we're integrating this information with navigation systems, which I'll touch on shortly. Once mariners receive an alert, adjust course, change course, slow down, they might post more watches. The alert might not be too relevant to them, but they might have more eyes on the water just in case these animals change direction. So it's really, really key information for these mariners to receive. What I mentioned earlier on the zone of interest, so how mariners can kind of customize the area which they receive information in. Again, this is another GIF just to show how easy it is. This is a first open of the whale report alert system for a mariner, and they're selecting and setting their zone of interest. So I'm just going to plop a few points on the map to create a flexible region in which any real-time sightings I will receive alerts. It's completely customizable. You can make it as big as you want, as small as you want. I think there's a maximum of 6 points that you can create this shape with. But in this example, I'm very interested specifically in active paths. You can see all the dotted lines of ferry routes that they take. So for BC Ferries, this would be really cool, understanding what's going on in active paths. If I'm in Tsawwassen, it might be a little bit out of my range to receive an alert. So I want to specifically just know about active paths. And this is an example of how that could be used. If I was a BC Coast pilot transiting up to Prince Rupert, let's say, or to Kitimat, and I was interested in the Inside Passage or around Finn Island area, I could set my zone of interest there and pre-plan my route, thinking that I might have to go extra slow because there's a high density of whale sightings in that area at the moment. Once I've created my zone of interest, we get access to this kind of real-time mode. You can see at the top here, we're in real-time mode. Our time frame right now is 24 hours, but this is adjustable as well. So 3, 12, 24. This is just how the information is visualized. So you can see there's been a couple of infrared camera sightings in the last 12 hours in this example. Hovering over shows you more information, and also clicking on the sighting shows you a bit more information. We've also done all the attribution to all our collaborators in here as well, so you can see where the data is coming from and have a bit more confidence in the data as well. Direction of travel is also shown on these little blobs to show very easily and quickly which direction the whale was traveling. So you can have a very informed decision-making process by just glancing at the map. What does an alert look like? This is an example of some texts I received for alerts near me whilst I was in Vancouver the other day. And on the left-hand side, this is what an email alert looks like as well. You've got some location, time, species, and also the sighting code. And eventually we'll add a link in here as well. So if you click on the link, it will take you directly to the app. So you can see all this information in the context of the map. The same with the text alerts as well. So that's got the kind of new features, a very brief overview. I really, really love to say to everyone, go to the App Store, download the app, but we're still not ready. We're like a week away, I reckon, or something like that, which is a massive shame. I'll tell you how you can get a bit more linked up at the end of this presentation. I've got a few more slides just to talk about the value here. Going to try and do something a little bit fun. If you get your phones out, you can scan this QR code and we can experience this together. I'll just leave it up on the screen for a second. I will also share my screen as well, so don't panic if you don't have a phone or you don't want to get it up. I'll just give you one more minute. So the value from the Whale Report Alert System doesn't just come from OceanWise running this program. It comes from the mariners who want to use it, who drive the change, who drive the impact, who request this tool. And it also comes from collaborations between organizations to provide mariners with this information. So if this works, here's a map on the screen. This shows 2025 data of whale sightings so far. The different colored dots show different data sources here. So I'm going to zoom into East Point in the Gulf Islands, the Tennant Islands, just down here. The purple is shipping traffic, shipping routes, shipping lanes, sorry, here as well. And around East Point on Tennant Island, we've got 4 different data sources going on. The blue is hydrophone data from JASCO. The purple are infrared camera data from Whale Spotter. The green dots are Whale Report application sightings. And the yellow dots are Orca Network, partner sightings networks. And these green dots, I also should mention as well, is reported by the Southern Gulf Island Whale Sightings Network as well. So these are very keen observers around East Point who provide us with a whole ton of data. And you can see how important this is for vessels transiting on this shipping lane. You've got 4 different data sources giving a really clear picture of what's going on in the water around us. So yeah, explore this map at your own leisure as well. There's other examples of multiple data sources going on. Recently, Quiet Sound just installed a whale spotter camera down off Port Townsend between Admiralty Head. This is a key lane for Washington State ferries, as well as traffic in and out of Puget Sound. And you can see we have Orca network, well reports, as well as these now infrared camera sightings. This is really, really cool. I love viewing this like multi-data stuff. It's amazing. It makes my job worth it. So I'm going to change back to the presentation now, just to drop off to another collaboration between Mariners and ourselves. Jen, if you're on the call, sorry if this is a jump scare of a picture of you, but this is a horrible picture of me, but a nice picture of everyone else. Roger Williams, Captain Roger Williams from BC Coast Pilots, and Jen McIntyre from Vancouver Ferry Support Authority's ECHO program. They invited us out on a vessel to do a transit with the pilots to understand a bit more about how they work, what they do. And it's pretty amazing. This is Jen clambering onto the vessel from the pilot entrance. I would look up some YouTube videos of pilots in extreme weather. It's mental what they do. It's so cool. This is what it looks like from the bridge of the vessel. It looks like a really good view, but it's actually really difficult to see what's going on. You're so high up and so far back that it's actually quite difficult to see if there was any whales in your sight lines. This is also a perfect day. Imagine this in nighttime, cloudy, rainy, stormy, whatever. It's completely different kettle of fish. Inside, this is Jen checking out the navigation software, whilst Captain Roger Williams is keeping a keen eye on where we're going, keeping us safe and keeping everyone else safe. You can see here that you've got these navigation systems and Roger is busy focusing on the job at hand, and it's quite a lot to ask Roger to whip out his phone every 3 minutes to check the Whale Reports app for any recent sightings or alerts. So what we've worked on is with NavSim, who provide the pilots with the navigation software, we've integrated the Whale Report alert system data directly into the nav software for these pilots. So the pilots have all of their navigation safety information in one place. And this is the gold standard going forward. This is something that we really want to focus on into the future. Again, not possible without collaboration, not possible without the partners providing data into the network. This is a really cool example of industry stepping up to make change. So what's the impact? I'm going to breeze through this quickly, but across all the data since 2016, there's over 200,000 whale vessel encounters have been mitigated for risk of strike and disturbance. That's a lot of whales. That's a lot of ship strikes that could have potentially happened, and that's a lot of noise potentially saved as well. I really like this visualization because it really hammers home the species that also live and breathe in our coastline as well. So what's next? I said that we're going to focus on integration of navigation software, and that's one of our top priorities for this year. Something that I'm working on. It blows my mind every time I try to understand AIS. It's so complicated, but I'm trying my best. And I've got very helpful collaborators helping us out with this as well. The second point that I mentioned earlier is this is globally available now. Anyone can access it anywhere. If you're going on a trip to Hawaii, if you're going to Mexico, take the Whale Report app with you, report. The aim of this is to build a global network of sightings. So therefore, we can have a global network of mariners accessing this data and able to reduce the risk of ship strike and disturbance wherever they are in the world. Well, it's not released yet, which is annoying, but here you are. If you're interested, scan the QR codes, that will take you to our website. Scroll to the bottom, there's a newsletter you can join, and you'll get an email when the app is released. Or just go to ocean.org, do the same thing, scroll to the bottom. If you have general inquiries, get in touch with RAS at ocean.org. That will go to me or some of my staff and team. And then if you want to wait a while for a reply to an email, then you can reach out to directly to my inbox, alex.mitchell@ocean.org. I'll try my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you ever so much for everyone to listen. Also, I will say there's another member of my team, Carly, is not in these blobs yet, but she is on the call and she's very much appreciated. I just didn't have space to fit her on, unfortunately. So shout out to Carly Green for all the help. And these are our funders and our data providers and collaborators. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. Looking forward to hopefully some questions and conversation.
Thank you so much, Alex. That was really great to be able to see it in action and all of the different elements that have had to come together to make this almost a reality. So close. I'm really excited to see it out for real. So we've got some questions in the chat. I'll first pause before I go to those. Does anybody on the call want to raise a hand and ask a question directly? And you can do that at any time. But first we'll go to, we have a question from Dave Ralston, who's asking, are you tied into the Orca network?
Yes. Orca Network are submitting sighting. Well, Orca Network data is fed to the Whale Report Alert System via the Akasha Data Cooperative. So real-time sightings from trusted observers in that network are being reported, yes. And they provide an immense amount of data in Puget Sound. They are the #1 reporters down there. So it's really useful having that data in our system.
Fantastic. And that's a bit of a question I had. So you mentioned trusted observers, and you also the level of confidence that people can submit when they submit that, that had a 5% chance of being a fluke that I saw going into the water, or 100% SRKW. Can you talk a little bit more about levels of confidence and trusted observers and how that influences what people see?
Yes, that's a very good question. Yeah. So from the mariner side, sorry, the mariners are really interested in basically whether there's a whale there or not. As long as it's not a log, tell me about it. So that's where that confidence piece comes in. So if it's high or certain, that report will generate an alert as long as it's in real time. If it's below high or certain, so you're kind of low or you're very uncertain about what you saw is what you think you saw, it won't generate an alert, but it will get logged in our database. Our database is reviewed and quality assured by members of our team. So we'll have a separate database of kind of quality assured data. And our staff will actually reach out to sighters, drop them an email, drop them a call sometimes to say, hey, you said you saw a minke, but are you sure it wasn't a humpback? Because X, Y, Z. Have a conversation with people who submit the data, and then we can update the database to have that kind of more rigorous scientific database. But for the mariners, we have this kind of real-time, you're pretty confident or you're certain kind of database. And we have a bit of a matrix in the back end where we can now upgrade certain sighters' status to trusted observers if they've been a long time sighter or if they're a researcher or something like that. And those sightings get kind of upgraded, I guess, to generate alerts. And also reduces our QA burden because they're trusted observers. So we don't have to quality assure that data. We trust that they're right.
Excellent.
I think, yeah.
We'll go to Rishi. You got your hand up.
Hi, Rishi.
Hi, Alex. Thanks for the great presentation. This is so cool.
Yes.
I have two questions. Number one is that when we scanned the QR code, that GitHub map came up, shows the whale sightings, but is there a quick function to filter out SRKW specifically? Because, yeah.
Not in that map. There isn't, no. In the actual Whale Reports app, we will have ecotype filtering, and we will also have special alerts for southern resident killer whales as well. One of the things we're just working out at the moment is most people find it very difficult to identify ecotypes of killer whales. So we're trying to understand, like, is it just trusted observers when they report southern resident killer whales that it generates a special alert? Or is there just like a predefined list of people, a mixture of researchers and other people who might generate these alerts? This is a TBC basically in the next kind of month or two. But it will be a function basically, yes. Rishi, if you need information on SRKW sightings though, we can do that. Just reach out to me and I can do a data request for you.
Of course. Awesome. Thanks, Alex. And the second question would be, you said you're looking into AIS, which is great. Are you looking at just class A for commercial vessels or class B as well for recreational boaters? Because obviously the traffic intensity is much more and the frequency of transiting is much more on the other side of things. So
yes, we're focusing on AIS-A integration, again, not to increase or to encourage potential vessel traffic around the whales. So focusing on AIS-A for now. There might be a future scenario where we have a different implementation for AIS-B as well. Right now, we're just working out what the message is, what the message standard is, and how it's displayed on the ECTA systems. So TBC for the future on AIS-B.
Right. Thank you very much.
All right. Nadia has a question. If the app has been extended to be used on the east coast of Canada, also is it bilingual, French-English?
Yes. We were talking about the translation the other day, and there is translation coming. I cannot remember for the life of me the timeline, so massive apologies. But it is one of our focuses is to get it translated into French. Our materials are being translated into French right now. Most of them have been already. Application, can't remember, I'm afraid, Nadia, really sorry. But yes, you can use the application out on the East Coast. Carly Green on the call lives in Halifax, works in the team. She's been reporting some fake sightings out there as well. So our approach with the Whale Report app and the mariners using the Whale Report alert system features is kind of like, if you build it, they will come. The more data we have in the system, the easier it is for us to go to talk to mariners to say, hey, we've got this data in this region. Do you fancy using it? Do you fancy embedding it into your best practices for transiting and things like that? So yes, please do use it on the East Coast. I can't promise it has a massive impact in terms of mariner avoiding whales for now, but the more data, the easier it is again for us to talk to mariners and yeah.
Yeah, tell your East Coast friends, the more sightings, the more useful.
Yeah.
Question from Dave Ralston. Do you have to download software to use this desktop display?
No, it's just through the browser. So you just open it up. It's just a web link and you can report sightings through there.
Okay. Over to Garrett. Garrett, you've got your hand raised.
Hey, Garrett.
Alex, happy to see where this is coming. I mean, where it's come from. I mean, it's a fantastic looking tool at the moment. My question is about the text messaging alerts. I think of, let's say, my use case as or someone else managing a fleet. It'd be great if I had control and I could send this out to sign everyone else up without them having to intervene and open the app and the browser and everything like that, internet connectivity. So is that capability there for, let's say a fleet manager to sign up all the individual vessel phones, where they need to sign up a bunch of different apps or logins, sorry?
Yes. Let's connect about that a little bit further. We were actually talking about like organization administration the other day. We've deprioritized it for now because it's something that we can do on our end. So I think if you and I work together to get the details for all the mariners that need access, we can create accounts on our end, and then you just have to give people login details. What I will say though is if you're an existing Whale Report Alert System user, your login details should work with the new app as well. So there should be no change. You just need to download a new app and then log in for the first time, and then all of your details should remain the same.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
No worries.
Thanks. So Harold has a question around verification. Are the whale detections that show up on the public website being independently verified by a whale expert? So I guess that kind of comes back to the citizen reportings and level of confidence maybe, but what level of verification is happening?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Harold. So the public view, no, but we have a separate database which is verified, yes. The reason it's a separate database is that in the summertime, we might get 80 sightings a day reported into the Oceanwide Sightings Network, which is a lot of stuff for our staff to be working through. So it takes a little bit of time. It's about a 3 to 4 week general backlog in the summertime, a bit less in wintertime. So we keep and manage a separate database of quality assured sightings for research purposes. The public view is anyone can submit sightings, anything will show up. I hope people don't have fun with it and just submit whatever they like. They submit things which are real and they're seeing. But again, it's just to encourage people to be a bit more involved in the application.
Hopefully people will be responsible with it, responsible sighters. Let's see, what else do we have in terms of questions? Lots of people saying it's pretty cool and great work, so fully agree.
Thanks. That's nice.
The Lynn Morissette asks, is this app compatible with the Marine Mammal Observation Network on the East Coast? And do you share sightings data? And the URL is navigatingwhales.ca.
Sorry, one more time.
Is the app compatible with the Marine Mammal Observation Network on the East Coast?
That's a really good question. We haven't been in contact with the Marine Mammal Observation Network out on the East Coast. So the answer would be, it definitely would be, for sure. We would just need to have a conversation. I think, again, in the spirit of collaboration, trying to empower mariners to receive this data, I think we should be working with anyone who wants to work together to reduce the impact of large commercial vessels on whales. So yes, I would love to learn more. Maybe drop me an email.
Yeah, Lynn, if you can reach out to Alex and share more about the Marine Mammal Be great.
Thank you so much, Lynn.
We've got a question from Leslie James. Is the PWWA logging their sightings in here now? Alex, explain PWWA.
Yes, I see Aaron Glass is also on the call, so hi Aaron. The PWWA is the Pacific Whale Watch Association. There is a legal obligation for them to report their unintended sightings of southern resident killer whales into the application because they go straight to Transport Canada. Other sightings, it's down to specific captains, specific crew on vessels. There's no obligation for anyone to report. It's encouraged. It would be really cool. But there's no obligation to do so. So again, it's down to the people. The more we talk about this app, the more people understand and know about it, the more they understand the impacts that they could have by reporting sightings through it, the more people will use it. So again, down to individual tastes.
Okay. Sonia Henneman asks, you mentioned utilizing AI while noting it's complicated. What do you envision as possible uses of AI to support the goals and operations of this app?
That's a really good question. Yeah, so we've worked with on the, I'm not showing my screen anymore, but there's 3 organizations right now who we're working with who utilize artificial intelligence or machine learning algorithms. These are JASCO Applied Sciences for the underwater microphones. These are SMRU Consulting, again, for hydrophones, underwater microphones. And there's also Whale Spotter infrared cameras that automate the detection of blows and shapes of whales, again, using AI. I would encourage you to go back to the map of the sightings and take a look at the west coast of Vancouver Island, Carmana Lighthouse, where we have the whale spotter cameras. These are the only detections of whales that we have in that area. And that's all thanks to artificial intelligence, innovation of these companies, and as well as government of Canada having the foresight to install these cameras in areas which are pretty remote. The other benefit of utilizing AI is detections at nighttime. I was actually doing some visualizations of this, and I didn't include it in the presentation to keep it a bit concise. But there's a massive amount of sightings that we have thanks to artificial intelligence and these organizations from nighttime detections that we wouldn't have otherwise from citizen scientists because they're not out on the water, they're not looking for whales at that time. So nighttime. Maritime doesn't stop at nighttime, so nighttime detections is really valuable. Remote area detections is really valuable. We've got some funding this year through the Pinnacle Funds to install hopefully 2 or 3 of these whale spotter cameras in different locations around the world. So we believe in artificial intelligence supporting citizen science. It's not the be all and end all. It's a collaboration, a mixture of different data types, which will give a good picture of the coastline.
Thanks. That kind of leads to a question I had from your presentation. We saw the Southern Gulf Islands, lots and lots of data in that area.
Yeah.
Ships travel in other areas along the coast. And so you mentioned the west coast of Vancouver Island. We've got some cameras there. Where do you need more coverage or more data to provide a more comprehensive view of what whales are up to?
That's a really good question. That is a really good question. The first place that jumps to mind is northern BC, especially in the area in and around on the approach to Kitimat. There's new LNG pipelines that are being spun up there, and there's a desperate need for more information to mariners on sightings detections. The SWAG group has some really cool work going on up there that ships whales and acoustics in the Git Gat territory. They have hydrophone array up there, which detects whales, again, using AI. For the RAS, however, there's not much going on in that area. So it'd be really great to have some of these other automated detection methods placed in and around these areas, maybe Prince Rupert Port and things like that. So northern BC for sure. I would also just say like anywhere, really. The whales move around, the ships transit the whole of the coastline. Outside of Washington State, for instance, there's not much data there other than from Whale Alert and cruise ships. So getting a higher data visibility anywhere else would be useful, not only for alerting mariners, but also for informing research, science, and understanding of these animals and their movements as well.
Excellent. Scott Veers asked, does OceanWise plan to promote the new whale report? Oh, sorry, just lost it. In Washington to recreational mariners as opposed to commercial mariners. Is there a plan for recreational voters in the future?
Trying to think how to answer this. So Scott, I would say, like, generally, no. We don't plan to advertise it directly to recreational mariners. It's an option that people can have to report sightings in Washington State. But as I mentioned earlier, Orca Network and Whale Alert are by far and away the largest sightings network in that area. And it makes sense to advertise those as the go-to sightings network to support, again, these local initiatives in the area and the data that they provide to other organizations like Akasha as well. Regardless of that, I think there's some data sharing work that we could do in providing these like publicly available sightings back into networks in Washington State as well. So I think we should really, you've been on my list for ages to talk to, but this has taken the cake for now. But I'd love to connect about data sharing back into Washington State. In case people pick this up, it's going to be, we're talking about it now on an online forum. There's bound to be some people who pick up the app and download it and start reporting through there. And I'd like to make sure that if they do, the sightings go directly into Akasha, so they have the same impact as the Orca Network and other sightings have as well.
And Scott has a follow-up question, or a second question, not really a follow-up question. I've noticed that Eastern Canada occurrence data is integrated within NOAA's whalemap.org, which also incorporates in real-time, no 24-hour delay data from the Whale Alert app.
Yes. Yes. Whale Alert app being different to the Whale Report app. I know about the whale map, have used the whale map, and I've seen the cool data in there from the gliders and other things that they have going on in there. I'm not sure actually whether this is a question I can answer, really, but thanks, Scott. Yes, it's a cool thing, and I want to know more about it. We're speaking to Virgil already about data sharing and things like that. The Whale Alert Alaska data from cruise ships is coming into the RAS. And there's the potential that we could share again to Whale Map in real time. So just for context, everyone, the East Coast has an issue of North Atlantic right whale, and they're massively impacted by ship strikes because they love to log and they love to sleep just below the surface. There's a small handful of these animals left, and their main risk again is ship strikes. So on the East Coast, getting public knowledge of where these animals are out there is really, really important because you want to try your utmost to reduce the risk of strikes. They also have dynamic slowdowns and no-go zones that get put in place based on sightings. And on the West Coast, however, we have a bit more of our kind of main focus, I guess, is generally on the southern resident killer whales. They're not so much at risk of strike, they're more at risk of disturbance. So trying to limit the amount of vessel traffic around southern resident killer whales is the aim, and has kind of been the, I guess, the visional mantra of the Canadian approach to conservation is to give the real-time information to commercial mariners and delay the public sightings by a little bit, just to give the animals some time to move away and again, not encourage vessel traffic around them. That might not be the best approach, we don't know, but that's the approach that we've taken for a long, long time now, and I don't really see that changing. But I think this vision of public data with a 24-hour delay is a step in the right direction, again, to empowering community scientists to understand what's going on in the waters, understand what's going on, and how they can get more, more involved in their area.
We have another question, or we have a question here from Rodrigo. Besides alerting large commercial vessels, is the data being used for anything else? Can you give some examples?
Yeah. So the occupancy maps that I flashed up at the beginning of this presentation, we have a plan to revise and renew those occupancy maps, and those are all informed by citizen science reports. The second example is environmental consultancies use the real-time data and also historical data to inform environmental impact assessments as well. We also share data directly with the Government of Canada, who have several different initiatives to inform oil spill cleanup if necessary, emergency response if necessary, as well as the Navy use the information to plan and arrange any drills that they do. Yeah, those are some pretty good examples for now. Research is the main thing.
I'm sure there's lots of potential applications. So be creative when it comes to thinking about how data can be applied. Leslie James says, love the intent to go global. Have you presented this to Green Marine members? I think it would be of interest to the Green Marine Ferry Forum.
Not yet, no, but would love to. I'm sure there's probably maybe one person on here from Green Marine, but we do have contacts with them. We do talk to Green Marine often. We were in Halifax last year for the Green Marine Sustainable Shipping Conference, and we're also headed to Oceans 2025 in Brest, France this year as well, where I'm sure there's some EU representation because Green Marine have just branched out into the EU as well. So we'd love to speak to them about this for sure.
Okay, any other questions that anybody might want to ask about making use of this new platform?
Also, thank you very much for all the questions. I really appreciate this. I was scared that there'd be crickets, and this is the opposite of crickets. So thank you for that.
I expected our whale community to have questions.
Nice.
Lynn has raised that there's a workshop on new approaches to reduce ship strikes in Brest in 2025. So
that's where we're going.
Then we'll email you.
Megan, I'm not sure if you have time, but I've had my hand up wondering if I could comment.
Go right ahead, Scott. Yeah, didn't see that.
Great. Thanks, Alex. It's wonderful to see all the new functionality that you've built. Lots of cool UI ideas in there at the very least. And I love the web map that you showed at the end. So my questions were sort of gentle proddings to encourage all of us to think about how the conservation challenge differs especially for southern resident killer whales, but also for whales that are commonly struck by ships in Canada versus the United States. And so Whale Alert is born of the North Atlantic right whale effort and has been moving towards our region. And I've been working to customize it for recreational boaters here in the Salish Sea. It's called the Southern Salish Sea, specifically Puget Sound. So I just want to flag that I guess I'd encourage OceanWise to keep thinking about, like, should the delay be the same on both sides of the border? Like, I think that's a really interesting question to keep asking as regulatory frameworks change, as the status of animals change, as shipping changes, and as recreational boater and educational efforts, regulations, and licensing change, as it has for the whale watching industry. Like, there's differences there in Canada versus the US for sure, and it all keeps evolving. So that said, I just want to for the folks who are on the call from Washington State, I want to make it really crystal clear that if you use the Whale Report app in Washington State, you're siloing the data for 24 hours. So if you do that, that's okay, and it supports everything that is good about the Whale Report app and the Whale Report alert system. But you should also consider contributing to the local sighting network. So that might be Orca Network. It could be Monica's West Side San Juan Island setting group now on Blue Sky. They're all over the place, these communities, and they're diversifying how they share data, and they're rarely putting data on the map. So just want to make that clear that that's why Orca Sound has always tried to be real time. And we've been trying to use Akarsha to make sure that for the observations that were meant to be public by the observer, we try to give them a choice, like, would you like to sequester it or not? So I think we should keep giving them that choice, and Whale Report is offering up a way to control your data and not have it be accessible. But I think we should all be very clear that you're making a choice, right? And in some places, like I believe in Washington State, where we have a regulatory framework and a whale watching permitting system, that it's a net benefit for the whales to share publicly in real time, whereas it might not be true in Canada. So just hopefully it's a point of conversation in meetings like this going forward. But I also think it's something that OceanWise might consider is whether it should be 24 hours on one side of the border and 12 hours on the other, for example.
Very good points, Scott. Also, the regulations being brought up to speed, not up to speed, but to match the Canadian regulations. I think they go slightly further even in the US. It's a really good step forwards as well to having that kind of trans-boundary sameness between countries. Wales don't care about borders. We care a lot about borders for some reason. So yeah, trying to synonymize and have trans-boundary solutions is the key. I think one thing which we have spoken about doing previously, and it's exactly what you're saying, is kind of putting the onus on the reporter to decide what happens with their data. So having a selection, a 3-dot selection. Does it go to the general public? Does it go to just mariners? Does it go to researchers? Or something along those lines, I don't know. And thinking about maybe what that means for data. I think also Puget Sound does have a different geography, a different issue. It's a constrained waterway. You've got 2 ways in, 2 ways out. They're in the same place, more or less. So it is a different scenario to what's happening in the BC coast as well. So I think you raise good points, something to discuss for sure, something that we've been thinking about for sure. I think we would look to the guidance of the scientific community as well. As you can see, Harold's got his hand up as well, to see what this might mean between the 2 areas. But thank you, Scott. They're good points, and you raised a good conversation. I would also encourage everyone to check out Orca Sound. You can get alerts when some of the resident killer whales are vocalizing. And it's really nice because you can just sit there listening to them vocalizing whilst you're working or whilst you're at home. So yeah, check out some work that Scott does. It's great stuff.
Yeah, maybe we can put together a little list of all of these different whale sighting alert networks. It sounds like there's quite a lot of them, and it might be a helpful resource for people who want to check those out. We have Harold has a hand up. So Harold, go right ahead with your question or comment.
Yeah. Scott, Alex, by the way, great talk. Great work.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you again. Yeah. And just want to bring in a little bit of a biology into the discussion because it's quite important to do that. On the East Coast, for example, where we have the whale map and where the data is shared in real time, the main focus species for conservation in that regard is an endangered North Atlantic white whale, which is by now, I don't know, Sonia probably knows the numbers better than I do, but they're very low, and it's a whole species basically that is at high risk of extinction. And their behavior is slightly different than that of a killer whale, for example. And in that regard, a North Atlantic white whale will be staying in a particular location for hours at times, whereas southern resident killer whale will move at a speed of 1 to 3 meters per second. So if you do real world or real-time detection relay, you always have to keep in mind that the public, for example, that would not know that the whale may not be actually there anymore by the time that is going to be relayed into the public sphere, which also has a bit of an issue because it might be misleading in terms of when you have boaters out there that they may know, oh yeah, the whales are there, but they are not necessarily there anymore in the next little while. The other thing is when it comes to the thermal imaging systems that I'm quite familiar with as well, and of course the acoustic detection stuff too. The thermal imaging systems currently do not allow to determine the difference between SRKW or any other. And we're working on seeing whether that can work, but it will be a little bit longer, and whether that can be put into an AI classifier. But so the data should definitely be taken with a grain of salt when you come to AI detections or TI detections and saying they're in here and these are residents. We quite often find out afterwards, no, those were big whales, for example, and not southern resident killers because they move back and forth in an area quite a bit. I just thought I'd bring in a little bit of that biology side that is quite important to consider in the discussion.
That's not Harold. I'm not a biologist, I'm a conservationist, I guess, but it's really nice to have that biology touch in there as well. The ecotype detections are very difficult. That's why I kind of skirted a little bit around the conversation topic earlier. I know that acoustics are probably the most promising when it comes to detection of southern resident killer whale specific ecotypes, at least. Infrared camera, thermal imaging, sorry, I can't even imagine how that would be done. And I praise yourself and Dan and others at WhaleSpotter for working on that. That's a really interesting thing to think about. Just going back to the SLKW sightings, or just the sightings in general, we do have a bit of a disclaimer in the application that says like, this might not be real. Just take it with a grain of salt, more or less exactly what you said, Harold, for exactly the same reasons that you stated as well. And again, going back to what the mariners need and what they wanted in the first place is there a whale or is it a log? And if you're pretty confident it's a whale, give me the data. That's the kind of line that's taken. So I'm hoping that all the data in there is at least a whale, whether or not it's a minke or a humpback. To a mariner, it doesn't really matter. What matters is there's something there that they want to be avoiding. So yeah, appreciate the biology standpoint as well. We're going to have to lean on that a lot more as well when it comes to AIS detections and sending that information via AIS. We really need rigorous backup and claim to what we're sending out on these nav softwares to large commercial vessels. So we're going to have to go back to the biology roots of this a little bit more in the coming months.
Well, thank you everyone for your participation and your great questions today. It's given, I think, all of us a lot to think about, and I'm excited for the opportunity that this platform will provide to prevent whale ship interactions and allow people to see more of what's going on in the oceans. And yeah, I encourage people to sign up to get notified when it's available. And if you've got ideas for data sources to help add more into this reporting network, please let Alex know. Well, when we send out the recording to all the registrants, I'll also send the links that people have been sharing in the chat to where all of these different networks are, so that you can see those. You can go check them out if you'd like to. And we'll also have the slides available on the website if people want to go back and look at some of these things again. So yeah, to wrap up, thank you so much, Alex, for coming and sharing all of this information with us today. And I appreciate your work on this. It's really important to help mariners figure out where the whales are so they can be avoided. And yeah, any last comments?
Just once again, thanks a lot everyone for the conversation, the questions. And just also a massive shout out at the end of the presentation to the data providers and the funders and the other people that we collaborate with and work with as well. Again, this isn't a sole effort on the part of OceanWise, it's a group collaborative effort. So thank you very much to all of those.
Yeah, that was an impressive slide of collaborators. So yeah, huge thank you.
Hopefully it grows. Hopefully it grows.
I'm sure it will. All right. Well, thank you everyone for taking part, and you'll receive the email for the recording in the next few days, and have a great rest of your day.
Sweet. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.